Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to do is talk about iconic sports watches and affordable alternatives. In other words, what I want to do is not to say that one is as good as or better than, but sort of in the same ballpark, but really not in the same, let's say, hemisphere or the same area. Well, you'll see as we go along. So anyway, so let's get started. Now, one of the most iconic luxury sports watches is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and this is one that just about everybody knows of as a luxury sports watch, and they're fairly expensive. This one is 41 millimeters, and it's $20,400. Now, of course, online and at other kinds of places you can find them for less. But sort of that's what I want to use. I want to use the basic sort of standard price. Now, another one is Bulgari Octo Roma. There's some similarities there, and you may think, well, Bulgari wanted to copy it. It wasn't that way. Very different, as a matter of fact. Um, Gerald Junta was the designer of the Royal Oak iconic dial on it, and he also, for a number of years, worked with Bulgari. And so what you see in the Octo Roma is his influence. Now, he didn't do this particular design, but he did other ones for Bulgari. And so this is that influence that happens to show up in both of them. So this is what we're looking at, and it's not sort of saying, well, this is sort of a wannabe Royal Oak. It's a Bulgari Octo Roma, $6,500. It's not chump change, believe me, and it's a very nice watch. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about something that's nice but nowhere near as expensive. All right, or not quite as expensive. Now, the next two I want to take a look at is the Patek Philippe Nautilus, another iconic luxury sports watch. And the one that I found that has a similar aura to it, okay, is the Piaget Polo S. Now, the Piaget Polo S has been around for quite a while, but huge difference in the price. Now, the one I chose you have a metal band on the Nautilus, and on the one I chose here has a leather band. It would, with a metal band, it would be a little more expensive, but this is pretty big difference. Two things about the Nautilus: one, they're very hard to get. I mean, even at $30,000 a pop, they're gone as soon as they come out of the shop. The Piaget Polo S, on the other hand, is more available, less expensive. Now, here, the price that I have, that's the list price, and there are in the secondary market, you can find better prices. That's like most things. Now, this next sports watch, the Breguet 20XX for 20, this one is $9,500, but it's one of the luxury iconic watches. And this particular one is a chronograph as well. So there's a lot of sports watches are also chronographs. Now, the one that I found that I really like is the Seiko Presage automatic, and it's only $3,300. And so, again, you have one that I'm not saying it's just as good as or much worse than. I'm just saying that it's a lot better price if you're in the market and your income isn't quite ready for a $9,500 watch. So anyway, Seiko Presage and the Breguet XX, two watches I really like a lot. I like them both. So, all right, this next two, now here's another difference. This is Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and it's called the Barracuda, this particular model. They have other 50 Fathom models as well. And it's 14,088. It's pretty hefty price for a watch. And the Hamilton Khaki Navy Scuba Automatic is $775. Now, the Hamilton has a Hamilton dash ETA movement in it, whereas the Blancpain, being a Blancpain, has a Frederic Breguet, let's see, I don't want to say base, but heritage type of movement in it. When ETA bought Blancpain, they actually got it with Frederic Breguet, because at one time, I don't know if when they bought it they had it, but there was the movement company, Frederic Breguet used to own the watch company of Blancpain. So when they were both bought, what they did was that Frederic Breguet became Blancpain Movements or something like that. And so that's why it probably has that kind of movement in it. Okay, let's move in right along. Now, another iconic sports watch is the Omega Master, Seamaster Diver. It is a diver watch, I suppose. It's $9,200. This particular one, I just look at this watch. This is a gorgeous watch. Now, you might think, well, what about the Speedmaster? Isn't that an iconic one? And the answer would be yes. There's more than one iconic sports watch from Omega. This is one, and the Speedmaster is another. I happen to like the Seamaster for some reason. I'm not even quite sure why. I don't have one, but I like it a lot. But I like this. I like the Moon watch with the hand wound, and what is it, 1816 movement that they have in it. But this one I like the looks of a whole lot. Now, the Sin U2 EZ5 is a similar kind of watch. It's a dive-ish watch, 2760. Okay, so this is about a quarter of the price of the Omega, and it's Sin has I think that most of their movements are ETA. I think they're still using ETAs in it, but they may be going over to Solitas or some other ones as ETA cuts them off at the knees. But this is another, I like that particular Sin watch. They also have them with a metal band as well as a rubber band, or I think they also have them as gator leather bands as well. Okay, now this next one is I don't want to get into an argument with Rolex owners, but the thing of it is that, if you say iconic Rolex sports watch, I think most would probably say it's a Submariner. Oh, it's a sub, and that's true. But I also think the Explorer 2 is another one. I like, especially the Polar for some reason. A lot of time people talk about the Explorer, they're really referring to the Explorer 2 and the Polar model, which is of course the GMT. Now, this one, and the prices I'm giving you are the ones that are the list price, the MSRP prices, not what you can find if you look around. Now, this particular Rolex with the big orange GMT hand is $8,350. Now, the thing about Rolex that I do like is that you can find similar ones, not quite the same, but for a lot less. For example, the regular Explorer is $6,550, so that's a couple $1,000 less, or close to a couple $1,000 less for a watch. Now, it doesn't have the GMT on it, but it's a Rolex Explorer for a sort of a luxury sports watch. The other one that is a luxury sports watch is the Oyster Perpetual. In fact, it's often considered the original sports watch because it was one of two watches that went up Mount Everest with Sir Hilary back in the 50s. Now this one is $5,700. So again, you have you can sizable savings for a sports watch. Now, neither one of those has a GMT, and if you can find a lot of other watches by other brands that have that. But I thought, it's sort of, here you have a Rolex that's known as a sports watch brand almost. And so rather than looking outside of that, I thought, well, I'll take a look and see if they got inside. Of course, there's a lot more. Now, the final one is the Vacheron Constantin overseas. And this is, again, another iconic sports watch, luxury sports watch. And the overseas is, especially this is version 3 of it, which has the 5100 movement. It's a wonderful watch. Love that watch. But on the other hand, it's pretty pricey, $18,000, almost $19,000. Now they came out with the last few years with one called the 56. Now I think they call them 56 self-winding. That's sort of the base model of it, and then they don't have the Geneva seal on the movement. The movement is from Val Fleurier, which is a Richemont made movement, and they own, I think, a similar movement is used in a Piaget and a Cartier as well, also owned by Richemont. So it's a basic one, but still, it's a very nice watch, and it is a Vacheron Constantin. And apparently, from what I understand, is that they take the Val Fleurier and do the Vacheron Constantin magic to it and make it more than just slapped in movement that's exactly like the other ones. Now, so 11,800 is a lot less. So it's $7,000 less than the overseas. And again, we're talking about the list price. Now, the one I keep going back to this. I made another video not long ago that the Nautilus is really one of my favorite watches. It has exactly the same movement as the overseas, the 5100, and that came out in 2016. It's brand new, and it's really an amazing movement. And the modification that they have in the Nautilus is that instead of having a little date window over at 3 o'clock like the overseas, instead they have sort of a type of hand date. There's a little triangle that moves around to the different dates. That is discounted everywhere. For some reason, they're not as popular as I think they should be. Wonderful watch. You can easily pick them up for $2,000 or $3,000 less than the list price, brand new. Also, too, they come in blue. I happen to like the white one, so that's why I put that one up there. But they also have blue and black and other kinds of dial colors for you. Well, anyway, so those are some things that I think, when people buy sports watch, they want this, but it's just way out of their reach. And so other times there's, something a little more affordable. And also it goes the other way. I got a 56 until I can afford an overseas. So anyway, as always, I'd really like to hear your take on this and the ideas you have. What would be another kind of comparison with an expensive luxury sports watch and one that has in sort of the same, we'll say, solar system, okay, but much less expensive. Okie doke. Well, like I said, glad to hear from you. If this is an invitation to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.